Hello, it's Hannah, and you are listening to No Longer Legally Detained, the podcast about life after the psych ward, answering the big question, how to navigate being an adult when you never expected to be one. It's Monday, it's Monday mornings with Millie.
Join us every Monday to catch up on our week, tackle a new craft and talk all things drama school. Good morning, everybody.
Morning! It's Monday mornings with Millie. My voice is cracking.
It's because it is actually the morning.
It's actually the morning.
When we are recording this. Hello, everyone. Well, a little bit of change in the schedule, haven't we?
It is. It's a change, and, that's a lot, but we can cope with that.
Can we cope with change?
No.
But
actually, this is a change that
for the good.
For the good, because we did think we were going to film this week neurodivergence and drama school. However, when we're filming this, it's actually May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Get the words right. And also, there is in May the Wear It Green, and you're doing green crochet.
I am. We're tackling crochet today.
It is not going well.
We have started already because we thought basically we needed to watch a tutorial and we couldn't do that and record the podcast.
But
actually the tutorial has left much to be desired.
It has. I have never really... Well, this is my crochet stuff. We'll get on to we'll discuss the topic of crochet. I decided I wanted to crochet because I love all the crochet teddy things, like, so cute. I have a
crochet cow.
Yeah, like that. I love those. But I can't actually crochet. I learned how to do a basic knot. Not a basic knot, a basic stitch. But that was so long ago that I don't really know what's happening right now. But we just decided we'll just chat. The crochet may or may not happen, but that's okay, because in life, that is not... Being able to crochet...
It's not a requirement.
It isn't a requirement. And you know what? Everyone has different skills. And if crochet isn't our skill, that is okay.
So I'm actually very excited for this episode because...
It is definitely a subject very close to both of our hearts, I would say, mental health. And I think it's an interesting topic. And I think I'm going to put a trigger warning at the beginning, or more of a content warning than a trigger warning, although we don't know what we're going to say yet.
No.
But we're not planning on saying anything particularly, obviously nothing graphic or in detail, but obviously the subject of mental health can be a tricky one, but we think it's really important to talk about, because especially from both of our personal lived experience, and also something that a lot of young people do struggle with and continue to struggle with, and the impact that doing something like drama can have on that. So just wanted to put a content warning on this episode. We will be talking obviously about mental health, hence the episode, and within that we will be talking about eating disorders, anxiety, depression, PTSD, things like that. We're not going to go into any particular details. We don't want to go into anything graphic, but having both of us probably experienced the negative impact of social media on mental health in terms of certain content, we're very keen to keep away from that.
So, to start off, let's have a little conversation about our history.
Yeah. So I think both of us have struggled with our mental health before.
Yes.
Before it was, I think we're coming at it from the angle of already having struggled, and then how to support yourself while doing something at drama school. Our mental health problems weren't kind of caused by anything to do with the drama school. I wouldn't say mine weren't. So
mine weren't either.
Yeah, so we're not coming from that angle. We're coming from the thing of young people these days having already had difficulties and kind of wanting to use this time to chat about how we navigated that. So I guess starting with the history, who wants to go first? It's like circle time. It's like being back at group therapy.
Shall I go first?
Go on, you go first.
So I have struggled with kind of bouts of depression since I was around 13, I'd say, is when it first started for me. And also, although not diagnosed, I think it's fair to say I can be quite an anxious person as well.
Also, I have struggled with eating disorders in my little life from quite a young age as well, although I didn't really know that was what was happening at the time.
I think that's when we both talked about that when we were thinking about doing this episode, that especially with this industry and drama school and eating disorders was a specific one that we wanted to address, I guess, in a really, really careful way, but I think something that we're both very passionate about, and that idea of looking after yourself, because obviously there is a lot of body image in this industry. Oh my goodness, too much body image, and that's something that if you've got to look after yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess for me, I have obviously you've come to this podcast from no longer legally detained, life after the psych ward. That's my little catchphrase. So obviously I have had quite an extensive history of various mental health problems, including kind of eating disorders, self-harm, suicide, depression, anxiety, OCD. I mean, the list goes on. Like, they just like to label and then they realise it's autism. You know what I mean? Like, fundamentally, we just give all the labels and then we just realise it's autism. And I think mental health is such a tricky one, and it's something that, for me, I'm very passionate about, changing the systems when it comes to mental health. I think there's a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges. I think, fundamentally the system's underfunded and it is oversubscribed. But I do think that as a society we can kind of improve other aspects of life that will help with mental health. I think, for me, there's definitely a big difference between mental health and mental illness. We all have mental health. Everyone struggles. Everyone has days, ups and downs. Mental illness is, a different thing. But I do think that the way life is definitely adds to the stresses. And I think the pressure on young people these days to kind of have their life sorted out, the comparison, all of those things definitely impacts mental health so much. And there's just a lot, isn't there? And I think when you then add in like the idea of like drama school, where there's definitely a history of body image, especially when it comes to dance, looking a certain way, having to be a certain way, appearance being a thing that seems to be very much, although it's not as bad as it was, but obviously stereotypically the idea that appearance is really important. And then just the constant...
And I think as well, like, the idea that you have to be grateful for the position you're in. And obviously, like, I think everyone is very grateful to get to drama school and to be in the industry. But that doesn't... You can't then think that you're just going to be a happy human all the time.
100%. Because no one's happy all the time. No. And I think... I was going to say something about... I can't remember, it's gone. But I'm sure it'll come back. Yeah, I think there's definitely it feels like and the constant rejection, the constantly being criticised. Yeah. And I guess it's about that's tough as a young person. Definitely. But this is gonna be a really interesting conversation because I'm interested to hear like your perspectives on things, because for me, I don't if anyone's seen the blog I wrote for the Mighty Creatives, one of the charities I work with, for me creativity quite literally saved my life. And it's been the thing that I've used to kind of find myself. And I think as I didn't do like the classic performing arts growing up, so I didn't go to dance school when I was little, I didn't do all of those things, so my eating problems specifically weren't obviously linked anything towards that, and it's so I feel like I'm in some ways I'm lucky that as I've come into this like later, actually it's been really helpful because I already knew who I was. And I mean, Millie will say like I very stick to my own what I believe in, don't I? Like and so
no one is
Whereas I think it's tricky for other young people who. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. It's just and it's so individual, isn't it? It really is so individual. And I've got my crochet all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got fully distracted by the crochet, so
I do think you've been.
We'll be back in a minute. So we're going to talk a little bit about the challenges that comes with being in drama school, and not in terms of like
where we were, like just more generically, like the idea of any kind of,
because I'd say where we were was very like very 100%.
Good. And I think it's going to be interesting coming from our very different angles where we come from this. It'll be interesting to think of like the struggles. I think for me, a lot of my struggles were more to do with my neurodivergence, which obviously we're going to talk about in a different episode. But obviously the impact of struggling with neurodivergence obviously does have an impact on mental health. I think one of the big things, like if I'm trying to like kind of you can't separate the two, but trying to separate the two a little bit, the exhaustion. Yes. I think, especially because it's such long days and there's so much going on, and obviously we all know that when you're tired and when you've got a lot going on, your mental health is worse.
Yeah.
And you have such full days, and I remember like you've had such a full day, you've done everything, and then you get home and it's like 8:00 at night, you're exhausted, but you still feel like you've got lots to do. And I think that can really impact your mental health.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me, coming at it from a moving away standpoint, and kind of, I guess this is probably for general uni as well, not just for drama school, but like moving away and feeling slightly lonely, and also kind of slightly out of your depth because you've like moved to a new place, you're living alone. I found that was a really big challenge, and actually I think having experienced like different mental health struggles in the past, I think it really gave them a time, I think reflecting on it now, it really gave them a time to rear their heads again, because when you're coming back to your flat on your own, especially like in the first term,
I'd say that like specific like difficulties with mental health, like in terms of whether that be eating disorders or self-harm or different kind, I think they thrive off isolation, they thrive off you being alone and stuck with your own thoughts. And I think moving away to uni, like obviously I haven't done that, but I can imagine moving away, you've no longer got it just gives them the time, like the opportunity to be like, haha, no one can stop you now.
Yes, I 100% agree with that.
And I think, and it's tricky because not only have you got to like battle that, as in like, no, you've also got all these new things, and it's just like a lot going on.
Yeah.
And they have the chance, and I say that's probably the big thing, is that freedom that being independent gives you, which is amazing, also has the potential to allow behaviours or thoughts to take over, and it's about navigating that and being honest with yourself. But in a time when everything else is new, is really tricky.
Yeah, and I definitely found that. Well, to be fair, I think as well the situation that I came into drama school in terms of things that had happened last year, didn't set me up the best.
No, I can.
So
it's definitely I think it's the word multifaceted. That's a big word. That kind of a lot going on. I think obviously in terms of like eating disorders, we are going to talk a little bit about eating disorders. Nothing graphic, no numbers, because we are not those kind of people. But drama training is full on. It is full on. We can't lie about it. It's amazing. It's fun, but it is full on. And you need fuel. You need fuel, and without it, you are gonna go down pretty quick.
Well,
as we have established. It's yes, and collapsing in dance class is just not the one. Just no. So I think it's, they talk about it. I don't know. I'm sure we had a whole conversation about right at the beginning on our induction about the importance. And obviously we all know it. Like we all know that like obviously eating disorders aren't because you don't know it. But it is definitely, I think that is tricky. Because you're spending
a large proportion of your day standing in front of a mirror.
Yeah.
And generally in a leotard. And tights.
And what I did to combat this, I would wear extra layers. And I spoke to the people on the course about why I did it, and they were absolutely fine with that. And I think
It did catch on because I started doing it for jazz on a Friday. Became my favourite lesson because that was the day that I'd wear my
baggy t-shirt
and
I think that, you know, I completely understand why, you know, why it is the tight clothing, so you can see the lines and stuff, but I also think there's definitely compromise to be had, and obviously, you know, in life, body image is something that, you know, we have to come to terms with, and we have to, you know, obviously there's lots of psychological therapy work that can be done, but obviously that's done by a professional, and that's not done at drama school, and that's done outside. But I think for me it was seeing the difficulties and going, right, what can I do to make it better? Wear a baggy t-shirt, there you go.
Exactly. And even if it's like, I mean, you did it every lesson, I chose to just do it for one lesson.
Exactly.
I mean, that was my own choice. Like, you can, little things like that you can find that actually you're like, this makes me feel better about myself, do it. And like, speak to the people on your course, because generally, like, they'll be understanding.
It's not worth ruining your health over, because, you know, you almost certainly, if you've got into drama school, this is what you've wanted to do your whole life, or for a very long time. You don't want to let that stupid little eating disorder voice take all of the hard work away from you, because as we've seen, it goes so quickly, and there's so much fun. You don't want...
Because I felt very sad, because I felt like there was a point where my eating disorder kind of took full grip of me again, and I look back now and I'm like, that was such a waste of, like,
however long it was going on for. No, 100%.
Yeah.
And that thing of reaching out, having supportive friends, you know, being honest, which is really hard because, again, obviously mental health problems strive off not, but I guess it's having those really important routines and that self-care and that...
Yeah, I think finding support in the course as well, definitely.
100%.
I had my little support system.
Yeah.
You guys know who you are. Hannah was one of them.
And
the
fact, I think there will be other people, you won't be the only person who's struggling.
No. And also you won't be the first person that, like, the course has had to help
deal with. No, 100%. I think we all know that, you know, other people struggle, but I think sometimes you can get a bit stuck in your own head. And I don't know whether, like, in terms of moving away, if you have anything in terms of, like, GP and, like, mental health, and any advice or thoughts on that.
Sign up to your GP as soon as you go. In general, do that, because then, I mean, we had a big talk about it.
You don't want to end up needing antibiotics and not having a GP.
Yeah, and having to go in and be like, I need to sign up.
Yeah.
So I'd already signed up, and then that made it really easy because I just messaged them. I was like, can I come in for a little conversation? And they said, yeah, of course, come on in. So yeah, sign up to your GP, look after yourself, and yes, like, it's hard as well because you're in charge of all of your meals.
Yes.
And that was something that I struggled with. Have dinner with friends. That's another thing that I did a lot of.
And maybe we could do a separate episode about kind of eating disorders and stuff, because it's quite a big topic. And that, you know, obviously it can be a tricky one for people, so maybe we'll do a separate episode on kind of talking more specifically about eating disorders, because I think that is something that we're both very passionate about, and something that's really close, and I feel like that is something that would be useful. But in terms of, like, general mental health, I think for me, I struggled a lot. I don't know whether this was, like, obviously I started ADHD meds while on the course. That was an experience and a half. Goodness me. Yes. I accidentally took 2 of my strong dose one day because I didn't, and that was just a whole performance in itself. But I think I did struggle with a lot of, like, really anxious, kind of paranoid thoughts at night.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of it comes down to the exhaustion.
Yeah.
When that's not just physical exhaustion, but just the mental exhaustion of being around people all day. You know, you're learning, you're also investigating things that are, you know, drama training's quite emotion driven, isn't it, I guess? And you're looking at a lot of things, and you're investigating a lot of things, and finding out a lot of things about yourself and about the human that is emotional. I guess.
And I mean, some of our classes were literally like, you are going to be paranoid for the rest of your life now, like doing all of this stuff about proxemics and like how close you're sat and like whether people are actually listening to you. I remember thinking, well, this is just me done now, because I already overthink every single thing, and now this is just fueling that. But it's not, because it's healthy and like it's good to know.
I think for me, the for me's back. The for me is back.
Did the for me ever go?
No, it didn't. Going to drama school really helped my mental health, but I think, and first of all, the thing to say is that mental health is not a comparison. It's not worse or better for different people just because people have different stories. I think that's really important to say, that, you know, just because somebody, say, struggled for longer than you, or has been to hospital, or has had different therapies, or has had different interventions, that does not invalidate your struggles, and you don't absolutely categorically do not have had certain things happen to you for your illness or struggles to be valid. And I think that's really important. Everyone's story is different, and I know, like, in some respects, some of the things that I've been through are maybe more, there are things that, you know, I've had more, say, interventions or having to go to hospital, but that doesn't mean that someone else who hasn't is any less.
I think that's something that you've been, like, very good at, and I've always felt very comfortable talking to you about my mental health, even though, I mean, like, I've said it to you where I've been like, well, it's got nothing on yours kind of thing, and you've been very good at, like, reassuring that actually just because you've been through different things doesn't mean that what I'm struggling with isn't valid and isn't
massive. And I think that's something that I do think is hard, because I'm definitely having, you know, when I tell people my story or things that have happened, you know, there are things I can tell people, it can be a bit like, oh my goodness, like that's quite a lot, but I don't want people to then think that their struggles are therefore invalid. They're absolutely not.
No.
And there are people who've had different things to me, and that doesn't make my struggles invalid. I think that's an important thing to say, and I'm really pleased that you feel comfortable talking to me, because that makes me feel very happy. Because that is something I always worry about. Like, people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, you're gonna think, but so no. I think, you know, the trauma and mental health.
We don't compare.
There is no comparison, because it's so individual.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, and I think that's something that helps when you can, like, know that in yourself and truly believe it. That helps you with your mental health, because you feel like more able to reach out and able to deal with it. Because I think when you're thinking that your struggles aren't valid, that just adds to the issues.
Yeah. And that's actually something I think this year I think this year in general, a lot of things kind of came up for me that weren't actually related to being in drama school. Like, no. I was having the time of my life, and yet there was a lot of mental health stuff that came up for me that was just because I was in a new situation, and also because I was really trying to suppress it, because I was thinking, I'm having the best time, I'm with the most amazing people in this drama school that, like,
you wanted to be at for so long.
And I was like, I feel so silly. And I had a conversation with our welfare leader, and I was like, I just don't want to be like this, like, classic stereotype that's having mental health problems at drama school. And she was like, well, there's a reason that these things come up, and, like, being away from home and everything. And as soon as I'd accepted that it was kind of like that, actually everything that I was going through was okay, and, like, I'm allowed to be having the time of my life and also be struggling, it helped me. And I then, you know,
I think that's really important, actually. That's a really important message. That you can that things can happen at the same time, and you just doesn't have to be one or the other, and that you can still be really grateful and pleased and happy and so glad you're doing it, but still things be rubbish and things be, like, and hard.
Your brain not be kind to you. Like,
yeah, exactly. Because it's not a choice, you know. Like, classic thing, like, mental health isn't a choice, and it just so obviously isn't.
Okay. Well, quote of the day, shall we just say, is, you don't need to be chased down the street in a hospital gown for your problems to be valid.
That is the quote of the day. We paused it to the recording so we could think about what we wanted to say next, and I just said that, and Millie was like, we need that on the podcast. And I think that you do not need to be chased down the road in a hospital gown and socks in the rain to be your mental health struggles to be valid.
That seems like a really specific story, Hannah.
It does seem like a really specific story, and I couldn't think where that has come from at all. Lol. But I think that is something that is so needs to be said, that any kind of struggle is valid and that is okay. But also, in the same breath, that we have the power within ourselves to change things. And
you don't have to do it alone.
Oh, 100%.
Go and get help. Go talk to your GP. Go talk to your welfare leader. Talk to your friends.
Work out what works for you.
Yeah. And it's awful. Like, I think sometimes the first time you tell people...
Yeah.
It's so... Like, I found it so awkward, and I would avoid the people that I'd told for a few days.
Do you think... I mean, again, like, I don't want to... Like, for me, it's... I just... Like, obviously, I had to go in and be straight off, like, you know... Like, I think it's even in my application, I think they knew I'd struggled with my mental health, because, like, where's the 5-year gap year been? You know what I mean? Like, that's going to come up, isn't it? But do you think writing it down? Because I know I've found writing things down in the past helpful, but I don't know whether in this situation that is helpful for people.
For me personally,
is that worse?
No, I needed to just...
Say it.
A lot of the times when I was telling people... Well, actually, I think in every time, I didn't really want to. It just kind of came out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I ended up, like, backing myself into a corner, which was the way I needed to do it, to be honest, to, like, then talk to people. But
do you if in a dream world, do you think you would have rather just been able to say it, or did that, like, work for you? And obviously it did work for you, and, like, that was the way it happened. But, like, do you think if you could go in, like, ideally I would just be able to tell people?
I think ideally, but it gets easier once you've told the first couple of people, and then you're like, oh, okay. And it's coming to terms as well with, like, what's going on with you, that I think...
Yeah, and I think probably the reaction of who you tell, I guess, is...
Yes.
But if you have a bad reaction... that reflects on them, not you. And you need to just find... There are people who are willing and want to listen, want to hear what you've got to say. And that
goes for doctors.
Yeah, it really does.
A lot of the time, actually, you get bad reactions from the doctors.
Yeah.
And you're like... I have come out of doctor's appointments literally crying on the phone to my mum, being like, I just don't feel like they're listening to me, or, like, they're not...
Oh, 100%.
They don't understand, like... So, yeah. But I think... Also, being honest with the people that you talk to about the way that you want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, and I've had lots of conversations with my mum about it as well, and she was like, it doesn't help you to have someone constantly checking up on you, because I then feel like a bit of a burden. Obviously, I'm not, and those people are just looking out for me. But I like being... I'd say I'm quite, like... a caring person. Like, I like to be the one to look after other people. I don't really like it when people look after me.
Yes.
So that was definitely something, and I say that to the people that I was talking to, like, I don't really want you to... I'm telling you so you know this, and, like, if I need a bit of extra support, you're aware, and I feel like I can come to you, but I don't need you... Don't keep checking in on me. Don't need you to be...
I think it is, finding that autonomy and what works for you.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, when I'm in crisis, I like humour. Like,
oh yeah,
I am like, if I'm really upset or distressed, obviously it kind of links probably to the neurodivergence, but in terms of, like, panic attacks, if someone's coming and is then really concerned, I am then going to get more concerned at something, even though I know, whereas obviously I want people to be nice and care, but, like, that kind of humour really helps me in people who can, have a joke, a bit of dark humour.
Yeah.
That does. And I think it's about learning, and that takes time, and I think that's what I was going to say about mental health. And I don't know, in terms of, like, drama school, but I actually think it's not just, I think it's just because of the age that people are at.
Yeah.
You change so much at the beginning of your 20s, and, like, in your 20s, who you are at 18 and who you are before that is different. And I think as you go into, like, your early to mid 20s, a lot changes and a lot happens, and you start to kind of, I feel like at 18, I mean, not for me, but from what I've seen of other people who are 18 who are not in psych wards, at 18 people feel quite confident, and I think then you get into your 20s and you lose that kind of naive confidence, and then it feels like everything's going wrong, whereas actually it's just because you're becoming more aware and more authentic, do you think?
Yeah, I think, and I also, like, well, for me, a lot of stuff, I think moving away
was a big,
and not being with all of the same people. I know for me, as someone who doesn't really deal with things in the moment and is very much like bit of people pleasing, don't want to upset anyone else, don't want to like.
We love the people pleasing.
We love the people pleasing here. I let go of a lot of things in the moment because I was like, I don't want to come across as like too sensitive or too much, and I found a lot of it then like comes back up.
You suppress it all and then it comes back to bite you later worse.
Well, exactly. But that's the way things go sometimes.
And I suppose it is that pressure, that societal pressure that, you know, moving away to uni, whatever that is like the most exciting, it's going to be the best years of your life. And I actually was speaking to a friend when we went out for a coffee, and she was saying this about people build up university, whether that be drama school, whatever kind, to be the best years of your life, and you're going to meet your friends forever. And you might not, and that really doesn't matter. Like, it's actually not the be all and end all. And, you know, she was saying about the fact that she only really talks to one person she went to uni with, and actually her really close friends were from sixth form. And it's not that big thing. It doesn't have to be, you know, this isn't it. Going to uni isn't the be all and end all. It's not going to be, you know, you've got this one chance of this is your life. Yeah. Like, it isn't that deep in life. And I think I definitely had that from, because obviously I haven't moved out yet, so we'll see what happens in September. I'll be like crying under my bed or something. But I think that pressure, and I think again, like, you know, I spoke to my cousin and she lives in a different country, and again it was that thing of like, I've got to like do all these things, I've got to, you know, do well academically, I've got to join all the sports clubs, I've got to have lots of friends, I've got to be socialising, I've got to be this everything. And nobody can be everything. Like, nobody can be doing all. You can't be juggling so many balls. Like, and as an adult, like in like real adult life, nobody does. Or if you think about all the things you do at uni, like nobody does that as a real adult. So why do we think we can do it because we're at uni?
Yeah, no.
You can't. And actually it's about being really true to yourself. And I think, I mean, that fear of like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to have any friends because I'm not doing all these things that other people are doing. And it's actually, but by being true to myself and going, you know, Hannah, if you go out every Friday night, and this, you know, to people listening, they're like once a week, oh my goodness, like I'm going out every night. But for me, if I went out every Friday night, I would have burnt out and crashed way earlier than I did.
And also, alcohol does not help the mental health.
And if you're on medication for anything, be careful.
Be careful. I mean, I've actually, because since starting my cheeky antidepressants, I have been out a couple of times and I've not found it that bad.
Have you not? No.
But I know that was something I was very anxious about.
And
but there's a bit of reassurance for you.
It's interesting, like, on those from our course will maybe remember, well, they won't not remember it. For our final share case, we did a lot about, the whole share case was about kind of our past selves and our future selves. And there was a lot of talk of, you know, finding your true identity and everything.
Yeah.
And absolutely, you know, and I would say I have probably more got towards that, but I think that's maybe slightly more rare for like my age. I don't think you do, and that is okay. And I think again, I was speaking to somebody on our course who was like, everyone's saying that they found themselves and they found their identity, and I just don't relate. And I think there isn't that pressure, like, because again, we can put pressure on ourselves from every single angle, and I think that's really the mental health thing, is that I would say of the message of being nobody has it together. Nobody knows who they are yet. You don't need to know who you are yet. You don't need to have your whole life planned out. Are you safe? Are you kind? Are you enjoying things? Are you enjoying what you're doing? You are allowed to struggle. You're allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to feel that life's too much. But when you do, have your strategies in place, reach out for support, be around other people, find the people who make you happy and make you feel safe and secure, and it will be okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is acceptance, actually, and accepting that not every day is going to be a good day, and that you can, you have the ability to shape it, but also, like,
some days you don't.
Some days you don't.
And some days you don't have to. Like, some days
sit in it.
Some days just, and I think that is, and that thing of, like, and I suppose as someone, if your friend is struggling, that thing that you don't have the answer, you don't have the solution, and that is okay. You don't need the answer and the solution for other people. And I think for me, through my whole mental health journey, the thing that has always annoyed me the most is people this is a bit bizarre, but that thing of people who are trying to find a solution. And I know it comes from, like, the best place, because people want to help you. You don't want someone you care about to struggle. You don't want them to see them upset. But actually, there probably isn't anything you can do or say necessarily that's going to give a solution. But actually, what you can do is, by sitting with them, by being with them, by validating their feelings, by saying, I'm here for you, I'm here for you, whatever, I can feel the pain, and I can hear that, or not feel the pain, but I can hear the pain, and I'm really sad that you're feeling this way. And you don't have to agree with what they're saying in terms of their thoughts, but acknowledging that is for them really real and really big, and not belittling it or invalidating it. And by just sitting there and being with them, that is, I think, the biggest support you can ever offer.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
One thing I did want to mention before we kind of wrap up this very long ramble of a podcast is peer support, and that is something that I'm very passionate about. And obviously, there's peer support in terms of the people who are around you, but also charities and places that offer peer support and mentoring and wellbeing mentoring. And for someone who did struggle significantly with their mental health, and actually the biggest help I found was not in professionals or in the standard everyday, that actually for me, wellbeing and mentoring and peer support has been truly life-changing. And there are a few different places that you can look into that. And I would say having someone who's been there, is a bit further on in the journey, but really does understand, and not this thing where they say, I know what you're going through, and you're like, oh, you don't.
I don't think you do, yeah.
That thing is, I would say, peer support mentoring, and the fact that their job, being a peer supporter and a mentor myself, our job is not to offer any solutions. We can't offer any advice. We're not trained for that, but we can listen and we can ask questions that allow you to open up yourself, because you have the answers within you. And I do genuinely believe that I think that is a really important tool that we've got, and especially in this day and age where mental health services through the NHS are completely underfunded and completely overstretched. This is a way that is really authentic and actually really does help. And I wanted to share that because I hadn't really heard of not accessible peer support either, and mentoring and things like that, which I really am very, very interested in now. But yeah, I wanted to share that because I thought that was really important.
So the crochet, Hannah, how is it going?
I'm going to be honest, I was losing, don't say anything inappropriate on a mental health podcast. I was not quite sure, but look at the length of this, Millie.
I mean, it's long.
It's long. I mean, I will, again, obviously, we will put a photograph on.
Not really, this is, I think we said in the first podcast, didn't we? Yes. When it came to crochet, it might just be a bit of string.
And it is. Mine is literally a bit of string.
Well, no, I think we've achieved more than what we...
Do you think, I'm wondering, I could have it in my hair?
Yeah.
Yeah? No? Okay.
Well, at least... Yeah, to be fair, you could, whereas mine is like a worm.
Yours, yeah, but you're like a worm friend. I've had fun this morning.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite proud. Because I've never crocheted before.
And to be fair,
and I've got something to show.
And actually, for me, just talking, and obviously now I have just crocheted one very long line of crochet, but it was actually very distracting in terms of just
freeing to be able to talk about things.
So thank you for listening. If you got to this point, as always, Ramble City.
like and share the podcast if you enjoyed it. And go and check out the Instagram.
At Legally Detained, or the blog, which hopefully I am writing more blogs, we shall see. So yeah, have a good week everybody, take care, look after yourselves.
Goodbye.
Bye.